Hello, and welcome to So Shoot Me TV with me, Pete Dance. My guest today is actress and model Chloe Wainwright. She is at the beginning of what looks to be a great career. Before we meet her, let's have a look at some of the work she's done so far. Please welcome Chloe Wainwright. Chloe, so good to see you.
Pete, really nice to see you.
We will start, shall we, somewhere early on. Where were you born?
Fab. I was born in High Wycombe in Buckinghamshire.
And so, did you grow up in High Wycombe?
No, I grew up in Chinner, which is a little village in Oxfordshire. So that's about 8 miles from High Wycombe.
So it's not a million miles apart.
No.
And you went to school there?
Went to school in Tame, which is a lovely town in Oxfordshire.
What was school like for you?
School was good. It was a bit scary at times. I always remember feeling like a really sensitive young person, especially in primary school, a very sensitive child. But yeah, I did enjoy it. I loved English literature at school, really enjoyed psychology at A-level, was always daydreaming.
Were you?
Well, especially at A-level, I don't know, I think I'd had enough of the sort of school system, and I remember kind of just, you know, I'd look out the window and just be daydreaming a bit. But I really enjoyed my psychology lessons. I was very studious, actually. I wasn't really a popular girl. I was probably like a bit of a sideliner, so I used to belong to a few different groups, which I think is quite interesting. So I feel like quite a lot of creative people report having this when they were younger, where they didn't really feel like they belonged to one group of friends, and they kind of felt a little bit like an outsider looking in.
Right.
So yeah, I did sort of experience that a bit when I was at school when I was younger.
I was going to ask you if you were in the cool crowd. So I gather from that you probably weren't in the cool crowd.
I think I had moments of sort of being in the cool crowd, but I don't think I really felt like I fitted in with those girls. So yeah.
What was your favourite thing at school?
If we're talking secondary school, it was probably the creative stuff. Right. I really liked art, loved dance, really liked dance. Psychology was amazing. I remember when I discovered psychology lessons, I just thought this is such a cool subject because, you know, it's all about people. So, yeah, for me, it was like, this is something that seems practically relevant to life.
Was there any teachers you particularly loved at school?
I loved my English teacher, Mr. Grant.
Mr.
Shout
Grant.
out if he's listening to this. But yeah, I mean, he was lovely. Just, yeah, really nice, warm kind of guy, and really got the best out of you. And I suppose because I loved English literature lessons and English lessons in general, I really liked him as a teacher. So
you liked dancing and you liked art. Did this all sort of move you towards the acting that you're doing now? Was it sort of something that kicked in when you left school, or was it something that you already knew at school?
That's a good question. I think my focus was more on psychology. I went on to do a psychology and philosophy degree at the University of Nottingham, which was driven just, again, by my interest to understand humans more and why people do things that they do and how the mind works. But I suppose, you know, the fact that I enjoyed dance and art, again, was sort of a reflection of just like the creative the creativity really, and that kind of creative personality, which I didn't really identify until a bit later in life. So I was very studious, and after university I went on to do a graduate scheme working for a food company. Nothing to do with psychology, but yeah, that didn't really work out. It didn't feel like me, and I sort of drifted into acting. And
Drifted. That's amazing, because I've worked with you, and I've known you for some time now.
yeah,
And you seem so clear about everything that you want to do. I can't imagine you drifting into anything.
really, I mean, I'm clearer now, but I wasn't back then.
Right.
I mean, I'm sure a lot of young people feel this way, where they kind of almost feel like, oh God, I've got to decide what I want to do with my life, you know, and they're in their early 20s and they don't really know themselves at that age.
Right. So you
I don't
managed to
think.
become the Chloe that you are now over a period of time.
Over a period
And
of time,
you
yeah.
developed this,
Yeah.
because you really, really do appear to be so in control of everything. I mean, I've seen you in difficult situations where there's been cameras all around, there's people, microphones in your face and everything, and you've just stayed completely solid.
Wow,
So it just
that's
is amazing to hear this drifting Chloe early on, drifting along, and now we've got this very clear, very precise.
Thank you very much. That's a really lovely compliment. Really appreciate it. But yeah, I suppose in my early 20s, I didn't really know myself. You know, had a bit of a sort of breakdown, a bit of a crisis. I had a lot of anxiety, mental health issues. And one thing I knew for sure was I didn't feel right in the job I was doing. I then sort of discovered this casting website called Star Now. And I think the first job I got was a hair shoot. And literally, I just thought it was amazing. They cut my hair really short. They coloured it, you know, coppers, golds, and I had sparkles on my, like glitter on my face. And I just sort of looked at the photos and I was like, wow, this is so cool. And I'm expressing myself and being creative. And it really got something out of me that I just really needed to express. And I felt more in touch with me and the creative side of myself. And yeah, I just thought this website's amazing because I can put photos up and I can get jobs on there. And it opened up this sort of feeling of like possibility and excitement and this adventure.
You mentioned mental health issues, you touched upon that. What would you have? Where did that come from? What created it?
So I'm probably quite a sensitive person, quite a highly sensitive person. And I think it was a combination of having a bit of a difficult childhood, a bit of turbulence growing up, parents, you know, lovely people and everything, but have their own issues. Right. And yeah, so I just kind of found myself experiencing anxiety, which was probably related to a bit of post-traumatic stress disorder. When I was 15, I was in hospital. I was sedated and ventilated for 2 weeks.
What, because you had a complete breakdown?
So I woke up one morning and I just couldn't breathe. And I remember like holding onto my bedside chest of drawers and just being like, oh my gosh, I just can't breathe. So I went to the doctors and the doctor put me on a nebulizer, which is basically like pumping kind of medication to open your airways. And that didn't work. So the next sort of stage was, well, we've got to call an ambulance. And then went to hospital, and I was in hospital for, I think it was over a month, but I was kind of just asleep for 2 weeks, fighting for my life. Such as septicemia, pneumonia, and just flat out.
So here we are, we've moved on, and you have become this wonderful actress with some modelling. And what was the first real acting job?
The first real acting job I got, it was an interesting one. So it was basically a TV series, Japanese TV series, aimed at the Japanese market to help them with speaking English. So again, I found it on my casting platform, and yeah, I think that they just liked me for the role. They liked my voice, and it was really quite interesting. It was filmed in London. The whole crew were Japanese, so I just remember not knowing after I'd done a take whether it went well, but because no one said, oh yeah, do that again or whatever. I took that as that's okay, you know, like they'd let me know if I need to do something. But yeah, it was really lovely actually. And I remember just feeling like so good about the fact that I got it. You know, again, I think it's this sort of keep pushing possibilities.
Yeah.
Can I do this? Can I do that? I hadn't been to drama school or anything, but I just felt a connection to acting, and that's why I went for it.
Wow.
Yeah. So that was the first sort of acting job. Yeah.
How do you deal with that kind of situation where you're thrown in at the deep end? You know, you talk about the world of acting is always something unusual, something new, isn't it?
Definitely, yeah.
There are gaps that people have to deal with. And, you know, you seem to deal with that really, really well. The gaps, the uncertainty.
I mean,
the odd situations.
I mean, I'm glad it seems that way. I definitely have my moments where it's difficult. But I think that over time I've developed quite a philosophical outlook, which is if something's meant to happen, it will happen when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah.
And that's taken a bit of time to get there. I've learned as well that you have to have a certain amount of go with the flow, but then a certain amount of, you know, like having boundaries and being assertive. It's really sort of a bit of a balance. With the Japanese job, I think the go with the flow was, I was very much in that mode, you know, just kind of let go, be in the moment, enjoy it. I think that's how I coped with it, really.
Yeah. What's been your most favourite role, shall we say, so far?
Yeah, so my most favourite role was Ballet in The Lady from the Sea, which is a Henrik Ibsen play. So Henrik Ibsen is basically like the Norwegian equivalent of Shakespeare, and he wrote this play, The Lady from the Sea.
Right.
And so I got cast in the role of Ballet.
Chloe, if you could be in any film and you could take the place of an actress, which film would it be, and which actress would you take the place of?
Oh, I think that would have to be Jennifer Connelly in her lead role in The Labyrinth.
What is it about that actress?
Yeah, she's just really kind of captivating. She's really good in the role.
You're the Goblin King. I want my brother back, please. It's all the same.
What's said is said.
But I didn't mean it.
Oh, you didn't?
Please. Where is he?
You know very well where he is.
And I think that there's something really watchable about, you know, like a sort of vulnerable-looking female, you know, who's lost in this world and has to kind of find herself and find who she is and almost go on a bit of a hero's journey. So yeah, I really like it from that point of view.
You were auditioning for Lady from the Sea, and I remember thinking you looked like you were straight off Game of Thrones or something. That seems to be your... And interesting you've chosen The Labyrinth as one of your favourite films, because that's all in that genre, isn't it? It's all those sort of films. I can't wait to see Chloe as Princess whatever.
I would love to do a princess role. I'd love to play royalty, but also mythical royalty.
Yeah, it'd be fantastic. Yeah. And I think you really, really would look and sound the part for that.
Yeah, I feel lucky to sort of look a bit ethereal, because I think that those are the roles that appeal to me the most.
Right.
Yeah, playing somebody with, you know, superpowers or someone who belongs to a mythical world. Those were the films I grew up on. Yeah. Those and maybe like adventure roles, Lara Croft kind of thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you keep yourself quite fit, don't you?
Yeah, I'm really into my yoga. So I do a dynamic vinyasa flow.
Yeah.
I belong to a yoga class called Freedom Yoga, ran by Sophie Free. I'll give her a shout out because she's amazing.
Right.
I've stayed doing her yoga for years and I swear by it, really. It keeps me fit, flexible.
And that's, you just do yoga? Do you run? Do you...
No, I don't just do yoga. I do run. I go to the gym sometimes and do spinning sessions just if I want a blast for fitness.
Right.
I go for walks outside.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of getting out in nature where
I've
possible
seen
because
you
I think,
lot out
yeah,
now in the
yeah.
And do you just keep generally fit? You don't work on certain aspects of your body. You're not sort of like one of these people who try and shape themselves into something.
No,
It's
I'm
just
not. No,
purely for fitness.
it's purely for fitness. I do sometimes work on my core because for me it feels quite nice to have a strong sort of core. I think it's good for back and posture.
Yeah.
But I don't generally work on specific parts of my body. I feel like for me, fitness has become something that I do if it feels good and feels right. It's become just a real habit now. Like I have to do something most days. It just feels kind of like cleaning my teeth.
So what's the kind of weirdest thing you've been asked to do, film-wise, acting-wise?
I can't think of them right now, but there's definitely been experiences that have been, like a little bit weird, but that was probably earlier on in my journey. I would say that as I've developed as a person and got older and sort of learned through these experiences,
Yeah.
things like that don't happen as much now, which is
Right.
really interesting.
So you think they don't happen because you're aware of them and you head them off at the pass?
I don't attract them into my life anymore. And
Right.
all I can sort of, put that down to is that I've changed internally. There was a period of time where I did do a lot of projects where you just sort of feel like people may be taking advantage of you or, this project's not very good or, it could be money related or whatever. And you just kind of, start to develop this real kind of warrior person inside and you get clear on your boundaries. And I think that's what's happened over time, really. I just don't attract those things anymore. But I'm also more selective about what I do.
What you do.
Yeah, definitely. It's every actor's dream to work on high quality productions with professional, creative people.
Yeah.
But now, I can see that it's better to be choosier.
Yeah.
In some ways, yeah.
So if that would be your advice to any new actress, just to be careful about what you choose to do.
Yeah, and just tune into how you feel around certain people and, what feelings you get about projects and teams. On some level, our intuition is always picking up on things like this.
And you could be approached by all sorts of people and, you've got to learn to say no.
Yeah, and the other thing is don't be afraid to put something by your agent if you've got, a good relationship with your agent and you trust them. And don't be afraid to put things by your friends or family members just to get a sort of second opinion. Because I know sometimes we can be so focused on, I want to be an actress and I've landed this project, I've got this amazing role. And sometimes people make things into something they want them to be.
Chloe, do you find learning lines difficult?
Learning lines, I think it can be difficult.
Is there any technique that people can use? What can you use to retain those lines in your mind?
My technique is just again and again and again, if it's just sort of saying it in your head or like rereading it over and over again.
Yeah.
Generally, I just want my lines to be like so digested that I don't have to focus on, when I'm performing, I don't have to focus on, what's the word? Like you just want it ingrained so that you can then have fun with the performance. Yeah, so I'm quite lucky. I don't find it that difficult. I think when people say, I'm so bad at learning lines, a lot of the time it's more of a mental block. Like maybe they've got a belief, I'm not good at learning lines, and then it just makes it worse and worse.
Yeah.
I think if you're relaxed with a script, it's easier for it to go in and for you to learn it.
So do you find you're being asked to do different accents?
Yeah, I can do like a US accent. Like, oh my God, did you not invite her to the party? What the hell? Oh my God, you're so lame.
And others?
I can try and do a bit of a French accent. It just depends what you want me to do, Pete. I can just freestyle. This is my version of a French accent.
Brilliant.
I do like doing accents, so yeah, it's good fun.
Some people can't bear to watch themselves. Do you find that you have that problem?
I do suffer from that problem. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting better at being able to watch myself back, but I'm quite sort of self-critical, really. And yeah, I do have a few issues with watching myself back.
Yeah.
It can be a bit of an issue because I think as an actor, it's important to be able to do it to an extent, but I'm getting better.
If you could have dinner with anybody, dead or alive, who would it be and what would you eat?
Oh, I think Carl Jung would be
Right.
famous psychologist. He really was so forward-thinking for his time, and I love his work on the human shadow, and he understood so much about the mind and human psychology. So yeah, I think we'd have to have some amazing Thai food. I love Thai food,
Yeah,
but really good Thai, that would be great. And then maybe David Attenborough can come along just because he's awesome. I love wildlife. I'd love to hear his stories. He's seen so much of the world and he's seen so many animals. I bet he's got some amazing stories. And then Judi Dench would be really cool to talk to, just to get her wisdom.
Hey, yes, that would be a lovely foursome, wouldn't it? In the restaurant. Well, let's hope we've got a table for four.
Exactly.
Chloe, what advice would you give to budding actors and actresses starting out on this journey?
Nothing's wasted. So whilst you might go and do an audition, not hear back, or you might do a project that you think is going to be amazing when it comes out, and actually you see the finished thing and you might be maybe a bit disappointed, because it does happen. Always be thinking, what did I get from that? How can I reframe it and turn it on its head to make it a positive thing? Because I do believe that along the journey, we're always kind of getting something from the experiences. I think the other thing is to be patient. So if something's going to happen for you, it's going to happen when the time's right. I think whatever actors go through in their life, everyday life, can be so useful for acting. And sometimes it's a case of, as we get older, because we've had more life experience, we become better actors. Don't always get so focused or hung up on how you think people want you to be, how you think people want you to play something. Sometimes your instinct as an actor to take something a certain way really should be followed, because the performance is going to be amazing. And even if it's not what a director wants or a casting requires, they might still think, oh no, I love how he or she did that. That was amazing, and then they might bear you in mind for something else.
So how do you see Chloe Wainwright in, say, 5 years' time, 10 years' time?
So I hope that in 5 years' time, I've made some traction with acting, and I'm working on some projects that creatively are really satisfying. Some great scripts and great storylines, and meeting new people, still learning and still really being enthusiastic towards that. I feel like I'm always learning on this journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, I see myself doing that. And I think I'd also really like to have a career helping people in some way. I don't know whether I want to do video content, inspiring people, or whether I want to work as a coach. I'm really interested in helping women, empowering women. So yeah, I hopefully just see myself living a really, really lovely creative life.
Any thoughts of marriage or children or anything down that?
Yeah, I mean, if I meet the right person, I'd definitely be open to marriage. Would love to have children as well. I say children, I'm not sure if more than one would be the right decision. But again, it's one of these things where until you do it, you just don't know. So, but yeah, I love kids, and I'm just a child at heart. So I think, in all honesty, having kids does really appeal to me.
Thank you for coming to talk to us today, Chloe.
Thank you.
Have a safe journey back.
Thanks very much. Will do.
We'll hopefully see you again soon.
Yes.
If not in the studio, maybe on the big screen.
Oh, let's hope. That would be nice, wouldn't it?
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Pete. Good to chat to you.